You say, "I'm fine," before your body gets a vote. Someone asks if you're okay, and your face moves before you do. A small smile. A soft yeah. Maybe you're standing in the kitchen, sitting in your car, or holding the leash while your dog waits by the door. Your chest is tight, but your voice already cleaned the blood off the floor. That is not weakness. And no, it is not just being low maintenance. It is emotional suppression. An old defense that teaches you to hide need before anyone gets the chance to ignore it. And once that reflex becomes automatic, the scariest part is not that other people miss your pain. You start missing it too.
At work, it almost looks admirable. Someone notices your face has gone quiet and asks, "Are you okay?" And before the question even finishes landing, your mouth has already handled the situation. "Yeah, I'm fine." Too fast. That speed matters, because after a while, the performance stops feeling like a performance. It becomes muscle memory. James Gross's work on emotion regulation explains the trap here. Expressive suppression can hide what other people see, but it does not remove what the body is still holding. The face settles. The voice stays even. The nervous system keeps gripping the steering wheel. It is like a smoke alarm with the batteries ripped out. The room still fills with smoke. Nobody hears the warning. And modern life loves this version of you. Performative work culture calls it professionalism. Always-on availability culture rewards the person who replies fast, stays useful, and never makes their pain inconvenient. Emotionally invasive families call it not making a scene. Look at the trick. A culture that rewards emotional silence will always mistake numbness for maturity. But this is not stability. It is not peace. It is a learned split between what is happening inside and what is allowed to appear outside. And the real danger is not that other people believe the mask. It is that after wearing it for years, you may stop checking whether there is still a face underneath.
This shows up in tiny social decisions. Friends ask where to eat and your answer comes out clean, polite, almost harmless. "I don't care, you pick." But that is not always flexibility. Sometimes it is panic dressed up as manners. Because the body knows. There is a preference somewhere. It's just buried so deep it barely makes noise anymore. Like a compass left in a drawer for years until even north starts to feel like a rumor. Edward Dacey and Richard Ryan's self-determination theory names autonomy as a basic psychological need. Not a luxury, a need. When a child's preferences are ignored, mocked, rushed, or treated like an inconvenience, the mind learns a nasty little shortcut. Wanting creates risk, so stop wanting where people can see it. And no, that is not kindness. It is self-erasure wearing good manners. The modern world rewards this perfectly. Corporate small talk praises the person who goes with the flow. Family systems often protect the loudest person in the room and call everyone else easy. Social media turns preference into surveillance, where one opinion can be judged, screenshotted, dragged out of context, and fed to strangers. So the low-maintenance person becomes valuable for one ugly reason. They cost everyone else less effort. But being easy to be around is not the same as being allowed to exist. A preference is not a demand. A need is not an attack. And once a person loses the habit of choosing, care itself starts to feel suspicious. Because being noticed no longer feels warm. It feels like exposure. This is where the myth finally breaks. Someone offers to carry something, pay for coffee, or check on you after a hard day. The normal response is supposed to be relief. But inside, something tightens. Help does not feel soft. It feels like an unpaid bill placed quietly on the table with your name already written at the top. John Bowlby's attachment theory helps explain why care can get so tangled. The attachment system is built around one simple question. When I reach for someone, do they come back safely? And when care was inconsistent, conditional, or followed by criticism, the nervous system learned the wrong lesson. Receiving is dangerous. Not because support is bad, but because support used to come with strings. A favor became leverage. Comfort became debt. Help became something you had to repay by being quieter, easier, smaller. Modern culture loves turning that wound into a personality trait. Performative work culture glorifies the person who never needs backup. Families praise the child who never causes trouble. always-on availability turns exhaustion into responsibility. So the independent person gets celebrated for a brutal reason. They keep the machines moving without asking anyone to stop. But this is not true independence. It is an attachment defense dressed as strength. Armor can protect a body in battle, sure, but wear it long enough and even a hug starts to feel like an attack. We call people strong when they stop asking for care. Then we act confused when they become impossible to reach. The reversal is small. Annoyingly small, actually. Wait before saying I'm fine. Name one preference. Accept one small favor without rushing to pay for it emotionally. Because you are not someone who needs nothing. You are someone who learned needing was unsafe.
So, no, these habits were not fake. They were adaptive. Emotional suppression, lost autonomy, and guarded attachment can keep a person alive in places where needs are treated like interruptions, where silence gets rewarded, where being easy becomes safer than being honest. But survival is not belonging. And that is the part people love to skip. A culture of constant availability, performative work, and emotionally careless families may praise the quiet person who needs nothing. Of course it does. That person is convenient. But your body keeps asking the better question. What would safety feel like if you stopped disappearing first? If this felt uncomfortably familiar, leave a comment with "seen." I read every single one. And next, we need to talk about why certain people drain you so quickly, even when they technically did nothing wrong.